Hi everyone, so in Tuesday's video, which was the 10th of December 2019, I showed you how I used an envelope design that was in my ScanNCut CM900, and I showed you how I customised it to make it smaller for a specific card that I was making. Now, a few people have messaged me and said that they haven't got the envelopes in their machine. So in today's video, what I'm going to attempt to do is I've deconstructed a regular envelope and I'm going to hopefully scan this into the ScanNCut machine and make a cutting file for it. And don't worry about if you've not got an envelope to do this, I'm going to be giving this as a free cutting file. But I want to show you the process so that if you have an alternative shape envelope or anything you want to use, you could possibly try this yourself. So, as I say, this started off as a regular envelope which would fit in the UK an A6 size, which I think anywhere else is an A2. And I've just opened it out, deconstructed it. So what I'm going to do, I'm using my scanning mat in the hope that it will just make this process a little bit quicker. So I'm going to put a piece of dark card on my scanning mat and I'm going to place the envelope on top of it. And the reason that I'm using the dark card is in the hope that the ScanNCut will pick up the envelope easier with it being, white. So I'm going to load this into my CM900. So I'm going to go to Scan to cut data. I'm just going to make sure that my machine is on black and white, which it is. If yours is on colour, try it on colour, but I think the contrast might be better if I choose black and white. So I'm going to come into the wrench, change it back to black and white, say OK, and now I'm on that black and white recognition mode, and I'm going to say go. Okay, so I'm going to choose the top icon, which is outline, because I just want an outline of this envelope. And I'm going to choose save, and I'm putting it on the machine. And it's telling me it's saved it, so I can say okay. So I'm now going to unload the mat, because that should be finished with, and I'm going to go to the home button and say yes, it is okay to delete all the patterns, because I'm only deleting them from this session, not from the machine. So now if I go into pattern and into save data and into the machine, because that's where I saved the file, and I just go up to the last page, there is my envelope. So I'm going to say OK. Now I can actually see where the fold lines would go. I'm going to come to add, and then I'm going to go into my borders, and I think there's a dash line border here. So I'm going to select that. Now, let me just measure this envelope. So this width here is about 6 1/4. So I'm going to make this dash line 6.25. And I'm going to say I want 2 and put them on the mat. So now I'm going to bring them in and position them where they should go. And the fold line vertically on my envelope is 4.5. So I'm going to go to add. I'm going to go back to the borders, scroll up to the last page, find the border and make this dash line 4.5. And again, say 2 and set. And here they are. Now I'm going to have to rotate these. So I'm going to come into the editing icons, into this icon here, choose the rotate and 90 degrees, choose the other one and do the same and say OK, OK. Oh, that one was too near the edge. So go back into the editing icons, rotate, and then I'm going to have to just rotate it until it's vertical and say OK. So now I can drag these 2 dash lines into place. Now I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to zoom to 400%. And I'm just going to move the dash lines, hopefully, into place. Try and choose this line, bring this one over, and go up and choose the other line and bring that one hopefully down and say OK. So I should now hopefully have my dash lines in place with my envelope. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to come into the editing icon, I'm going to come into the 3 red boxes and I'm going to choose the second red box which chooses everything on my mat. I'm going to say OK and group, OK and save, and I'm going to save it into the machine. And it's saying to me it includes a grouped pattern on the mat, cannot be ungrouped. The cannot ungroup the pattern once you save the pattern, which is fine. I want it to save as a grouped design. So I'm going to say OK. Now it's saying to me, do you want to overwrite the original or save as a new? I'm going to save as a new. And again, it's given me a number, so I'm going to say OK. So now, if I go back to the home button and say, yes, it's OK to delete all that, when I go to patterns and save data and the machine and scroll to the last page, I've got my original envelope that I scanned in, and I've got the envelope now with the dash lines. So what I'm going to attempt to do now is cut this one I've just made to show you hopefully that this works, and then I'm going to resize it smaller to fit the envelope that I showed you in Tuesday's video and show you how that works. And then this original file I'm going to give as a free file. It's going to be on my website under the free tab on applelover53.co.uk, and you'll be able to download it from Dropbox, and then you will be able to bring this into your machine no matter what model machine you've got, because this is a ScanNCut cutting file, and you will then be able to follow Tuesday's video from the 10th of December 2019 and resize this to any size as I showed you in that video. So I'm going to say OK, OK. I'm going to load this into the machine. And I'm going to say cut and go. I'm going to say OK and unload. And there is my envelope. So I'm just going to fold on the score lines. Now I can see there that this score line is slightly out of position, so I'm going to go back into the design and move that. And I think it's the one that I rotated and it was squint because it touched the top of the mat. So I'll rectify that in a minute. But for the process of this video, what I'll do, I'll just fold it with my ruler, because you won't be able to see this, but I can actually see that the dash line is crooked, so that's how I know it's the one that I made the mistake with when I was bringing it on. So I'll fold this how it should be. I'll correct the cutting file. So I'm going to just put a little bit of glue on here. I never seem to be able to get my lighting right. The room that I film in, my craft room, is very, very light, and it's either too light so you can't see, and then I try to make the video a bit darker, and then because I'm concentrating on what I'm doing, I forget to look, and then sometimes it's too dark. But you know, I'm not a professional at this. This is just things that I do for the ScanNCut, and I share them. Right, fold that over, just give that a minute to grab. This is a regular size card that I made in a video recently, and it's got dimension on it, so and you can see, just fold that corner there, how that fits perfectly. Okay, so I've corrected the file and straightened up the dash line, and I've resaved the envelope. So I'm going to go into pattern, saved data, into the machine, scroll to the last page and find my envelope. And I'm going to say OK. Now I'm just going to move it down here out of the way. So when I made the custom size envelope last week, I showed you how to add a rectangle, so into the basic shapes, into rectangle, and I used a rectangle that was 4 1/4 by 3 1/4, which was to simulate my base card. So I'm going to untick maintain aspect ratio, make the width 4 1/4, and make the height 3 1/4. And say set, and this is what was representing my base card. So now I'm going to bring the rectangle on top of my homemade envelope. I'm going to choose the envelope, come into the editing icon, into the icon that adjusts the size, and I'm going to start shrinking the height down until these dotted lines fit more comfortably around this smaller shape. Now, because this envelope is a completely different envelope than the one I used in the machine, the finished size of this envelope may end up different than the size I show you in last Tuesday's video. But it doesn't matter, it will still fit. It's just that this is a different shape envelope than I used originally from in the CM900. So I'm going to start shrinking this down until I can see that it fits around my base card. And I think it does, so I'm going to say OK, and I'm going to zoom in and just make sure that my card will fit in there, and it does. So now I'm going to select the rectangle and send it to the trash and say OK. And if I want to, I can now save this smaller envelope. So I can say OK, save to the machine. It says, do you want to overwrite the original or save as a new? So I'll save as a new. And I'll say OK. And just to show you, I'll go back to the home, delete all the patterns. I'll go to pattern, into save data, into my machine. I'll scroll to the last page and there's my small envelope. And if I go to page 4, there's my big envelope, which is the file I'm giving as a free cutting file. So this is the one. I'm going to say OK, OK. I'm going to load some paper onto my mat and I'm going to cut this. I'm just going to bring it, I'm just going to go back, bring it up nearer to the top of the top corner here just to save on paper. I'm going to say OK, cut and go. Okay, I'm going to say OK, unload the mat. Peel away the waste. Now, just be mindful that obviously these dash lines are score lines. They're not like fold lines that you do with a bone folder. So, you know, the blade is cutting into your paper. This is only single-sided K & Company paper and it's not cut through, but I probably wouldn't burnish this with a bone folder. I'll just do it by hand. But as I say, don't be tempted to use a very, very thin paper, although this is nowhere near as thick as my Stampin' Up! Designer Series paper. So then I'm going to fold up on all the fold lines, and as you can see, I've fixed the fold line in the cutting file for you. And then if you spot the deliberate mistake on the big one, I stuck the wrong flap down. So this one's got like a square flap, but it doesn't make any difference. I mean, the envelope is meant to go like that with the shapes. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to apply a little bit of glue on here. And just hold this down for a few seconds, just till it grabs. And there are the two envelopes. And just to show you, here's my card that I made in Tuesday's video. And it fits easily into that envelope. So this is going to be a free cutting file that's going to be available at www.applelover53.co.uk. On the free tab, it will be a Dropbox file. So there'll be no, there'll be a picture of this on my website, but when you click on download, FCM files don't give you a thumbnail view. But this will be the cutting file that you will be able to download and put into your ScanNCut machine and cut it for, as I say, a UK A6 or an A2, you know, international size. And then you'll be able to resize it, as I showed how to do in Tuesday's video, and make it smaller. And as I explained in that other video, it's best to keep it for rectangular cards. So, you know, leave the file as it is and just resize it down in proportion as I've shown you. So I hope you like that video. Please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to share and subscribe. And I hope that that helps everybody that left me comments the other day saying that they didn't have the original envelope in their ScanNCut machine that I used. Anyway, thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.